Outdoor gear is no longer about helping you get outside. The business has shifted and the outdoors is seen more so as a product to be sold through an ideal of a basic hiker kitted out in equipment worth the same value as a used car, because that is what it takes to go hiking. But is it really? Do you really need anything at all? And why do you think so? Why is it that we all think that you need to be kitted out in thousands of dollars worth of gear just to go on a basic weekend hike? Just look at the craze online. We're all addicted to it. The discussion and obsession over gear, it's become a barrier to entry rather than a solution. You may not be aware of it right now, but you are being deceived. Deceived through marketing, through influencers, and through your peers, because we've all been caught up in this gearification of the outdoors. But how did this problem begin? Businesses haven't always sought to exploit your outdoor hobbies, and not all do today, but this is an unfortunate minority. The large outdoor clothing brands, the main culprits, the likes of the North Face, Patagonia, Arc'teryx, Kathmandu, these brands weren't established to rip you off. They were established to solve a problem. For outdoor exploration beyond simple tourist trails, streetwear won't cut it. Jeans are not hiking pants. That's just reality. These brands began by offering their solution to outdoor clothing, and through the use of their products, your desire for outdoor exploration was enabled. All's well and good for a small business to sell to a small demographic of people, so for these businesses to expand, they had to expand the appeal of their products beyond just hikers and mountain goers. They had to appeal to the general population. This is why you see these brands today in popular fashion, why some people think it's fashionable to walk around Melbourne in a full suit of Gore-Tex. I thought Gore-Tex was for the mountains and not for daily commutes, but no, here we are. Now, because these products appeal to a wider demographic and because they are considered high fashion, they now carry a hefty price tag. Not just Gore-Tex, obviously, although the price of some Gore-Tex jackets is very eye-opening to say the least, but anything that carries the prestigious logo. When you see the logo of a big brand on a piece of outdoor equipment or clothing, what is your immediate thought? It's good quality, right? It has to be if it's so expensive. Majority of the cost isn't for the item itself, it's for that logo and for the perceived prestige that that logo gives you. You've been made to believe that these brands are desirable and you're happy to pay the premium. But have you thought about why this is the case? You're happy to spend your entire paycheck on a prestigious outdoor brand's bit of clothing or gear because it validates your identity. You identify as an outdoor enthusiast, a hiker, trail runner, rock climber, skier, whatever it may be. You want to project that identity and you want to fit in. Everyone around you is showcasing their gear. You go on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, everyone is talking about gear. Influencers are prancing around with thousands of dollars worth of equipment, trying to sell it to you with affiliate codes. Hell, there's even Facebook groups for specific items. It's absolutely ridiculous. We're all obsessed and we're all insecure about what we already have. You think that what you have isn't good enough because all you see around you are people with more new and desirable equipment. And you compare that to yourself with your outdated gear and unbranded clothing, and you feel like you don't fit in. If a sponsored athlete shows off their new and top-of-the-line equipment to complete some advanced goal, you identify high performance with the brand who sponsored them. This could be for any activity. You might see promotions or influencers using a particular item on a hiking trail you want to complete, and now you subconsciously associate success on that trail to the items that these people are using. And then you naturally compare what you've seen to what you personally own. Now there exists a high barrier to entry into the outdoors. One can't simply pick up an old bag, fill it with water and snacks, slap on some gym wear and go out and hit the trails. No, because then you wouldn't fit the image of a hiker. These big brands that I mentioned, they were founded upon the idea to enable access to the outdoors, and now it seems that they're hindering it. If you can't afford the acceptable standard of equipment, then you're told that you can't go outside. And as time goes on, the outdoors is seen more of a product to sell, and one is becoming increasingly unaffordable for the average person. Paid luxury walks and accommodation replace free campsites, hikes that were free now require permits. I mean, it's more than just equipment, but let's not stray too far from the point. Your identity as an outdoorsman is abused in order to keep the wheels of business turning. These businesses won't succeed if you are led to believe that what you already have is good enough. And let me be clear that what you already own is perfectly good enough. That is, unless you are a complete beginner and don't have anything. This is because 95% of outdoor enthusiasts are amateurs. Now, don't take this the wrong way. Amateur in this context isn't a bad thing. It just means that you aren't doing your activities as a professional. And amateurs don't need professional equipment. Why would an amateur stress over the smaller details in their clothing and equipment if all they're doing is a shorter weekend walk on a good trail and in good weather? Just doesn't make sense. It's not necessary, right? You don't need to be concerned about the specifics of the fabric that you're using in your equipment or cutting a few grams from this item or that. These aren't tactics for amateurs, these are tactics for professionals. Despite this, there is this notion in modern day marketing and general consensus in the community that you need the perfect setup to go and do just a basic activity. The only perspective from which this all makes sense is from that of big business. The only way in which the business of outdoor gear and clothing continues to work is if you remain in a constant cycle of buying and upgrading equipment. That is consumerism, and it contradicts the old ethos of outdoor exploration. Before consumerism became out of hand in the outdoors as it is today, the adventurers of old didn't postpone their trip just because they didn't have the perfect setup. They made do with what they had, and they cherished what they had. Somewhere along the way, we've forgotten to actually appreciate what we already own. In this cycle of consumerism, we are way too quick to discard what we already own. That doesn't sound very environmentally conscious, does it? Even Patagonia, who, to be fair, is probably the most environmentally conscious of the big brands, had a famous jab at consumerism with their "don't buy this jacket" promotion. And you want to have a guess as to what people did? Yep, that's right. They went and bought it because it's trendy to be environmentally conscious. We like to think that we're doing the right thing by buying a product that uses recycled materials and supporting businesses that move towards more green production solutions. But at its core, consumerism goes against sustainability. It's just one big contradiction. The outdoor equipment and clothing industries continue to trend upwards in market value as more people look to take up outdoor recreation. But these people come to find that it isn't so simple to just go on a hike. They hit that barrier to entry. They don't have the acceptable standard of equipment. They're told that what they have isn't good enough and that they can't access the outdoors. How can we go on peddling this lie when the outdoors should be for everyone? Not just those who can afford it. For beginners, there is an obvious price to starting a new hobby, but not the inflated cost in which is being promoted today. We have to stop our obsession over gear because we are addicted to the cycle. This problem isn't just the fault of businesses and marketing. We, the consumers, are half of the problem because we can't stop buying things that we don't need. You are given this need to buy, to uphold your identity and to fit the image of an outdoorsman. But you shouldn't be told what you need. You should seek to find out what you need through your own experiences. You can't necessarily trust anything you view or read online because most of the information you see is infected by our community's lust for consumerism. You have to separate yourself from the crowd. Because we're all so addicted to the opinions of others to validate our own, saying trust in your own opinion can seem like bad advice. But why shouldn't you trust in your own experiences? This is all very psychological and difficult to accept because when growing up in a Western society, we are taught the ways of consumerism. It's ingrained into our way of thinking, and it's harmful. It's harmful when it comes to the outdoors because this world is for everyone to enjoy. It's a right, and when we place unnecessary barriers to entry to accessing the outdoors, it can be extremely harmful to the people who need it the most. People who need an outlet, a place to find peace and happiness and to express themselves. Never has the outdoors been only for those of substantial wealth, and it never should be. So do trust in your opinion, because why would you value someone else's opinion over yours in the first place? We spend so much time researching equipment that we've been told that we need without even having had an experience to suggest that we need it in the first place. When you value your own opinions more, you'll be less inclined to spend your money on products with unfair value exchanges, on brands who believe that their logo constitutes a severe markup in shelf price. Learn not only to value your opinion, but to value what you already own. Keep your gear and clothes from falling into disrepair. Care for them, and repair them if the damage isn't too severe. Let go of your consumer identity, and adopt the mindset of old. Be resourceful and don't feel restricted from accessing the outdoors. Place the emphasis back on hiking rather than shopping for it. The extent to which marketing, brands and influencers interfere with the promotion of outdoor products is absurd, and it's dramatically increased the barrier to entry to accessing the outdoors through recreational activities. It's especially confronting as it essentially comes down to the manipulation of our psychology. The barrier to entry isn't real, and thinking that it is just gets less people to enjoy the outdoors, and that just isn't right. This issue has become extremely important to me because I believe it is essential to get this message out to as many people as possible, and especially beginners. Talking about gear just like every other hiking channel isn't going to help you nearly as much as understanding why you feel the compulsion to buy products you just don't need. This becomes a difficult subject to cover when there is, of course, certain items that you do need to go hiking, and some products are better than others. There are fairly valued products out there, but all too often they are labelled as budget and cheap. Forget about the labels. What's more important is that you have what you need and you put it to use. Would you rather spend your weekend researching hiking equipment or actually hiking? The only way to know what you really need is by making the decision yourself. You alone know your exact circumstances. It's time we use this advantage and take back control. Drop the consumer mindset, ignore the fear-mongering behind budget gear, and get back to enjoying the outdoors. In the end, it's your decision to make, and I've given you the tools to make it. This isn't conventional hiking content, but that's all said and done anyway. This subject is far more important than you just simply watching another glorified ad disguised as a hiking video. I like to keep my videos to the point, without the BS, and truly valuable. So if this sounds like the kind of content you like, then consider subscribing because there's more to come. Thanks for sticking to the end, and I'll see you on the next one.